Well, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. I told you guys in the last episode that I had a lot to say. I know it's been a while. Excuse me. I know it's been a while since I tapped in with you guys. You know what I mean? And um, the things that I wanted to talk about is going to break down into different episodes, and this is no different. And it's a topic of conversation that's been. It's not just something that was just happening over the last few weeks. It's been happening over the last few years. And I want to state for the record that I am a fan of this person. I legitimately am. You know, and based off of this conversation, let me rephrase that. Based off of what I'm going to have to say, some people are going to feel otherwise. Some are going to call me a hater. And look, we live in a time where that word gets used loosely, and people just to throw that word out there for no reason. Like, you don't know me, you don't know who I am, you don't know my thought process, which is why I do these things, right? You've never had a chance to speak with me individually as a person and talk sports, is what I'm trying to say. So the person will hear this and say, "Oh no, you're just being a hater. You're just being a hater." Yeah, unfortunately, that's always the easy way out of having the conversation and having the debate. That's always the easy route to go, calling somebody a hater. I guess especially when you come with facts. But before I get into it, all praises go to the Lord Jesus Christ, because without him, I am not in this position to do what I'm doing presently. I thank him for the opportunities and the blessings, and I wouldn't be fortunate to be in the position that I'm in now. But with that being said, let me get into it. Excuse me. Over the last few years, there's been a constant debate of who's the greatest basketball player of all time. Is it Jordan? Is it LeBron? And the disrespect that goes out about Kobe is crazy, because his name should be mentioned in that conversation as well. So, see, if you paid attention to the last show, and if you paid attention to any of my previous episodes, you know I don't think, I don't talk like media members. I don't. I use my eyes, I use my brain, because ain't nobody here thinking for me. I'm thinking for myself, and I see things for myself. And there's no way any media member will make me excuse me. There is no way any media member can convince me otherwise with the narratives that they throw out, especially for those that are like the Nick Wrights and the Shannon Sharps of the world. Now, as fans, we have a bad habit of listening. Well, not me in particular, but fans in particular have a bad habit of listening to guys like Nick Wright and Shannon Sharp when it comes to LeBron James. See, those guys only like to point out specific things. They don't want to get into detail about the specifics regarding Jordan and early in his career. And they want to ignore the facts about LeBron James. I wasn't always a fan of LeBron. His first few years in Cleveland, I wasn't a fan. The decision that he made, the way he made it, I wasn't a fan of it whatsoever. I was not a fan of it. But that's besides the point. A year into his stint with Miami, I started to understand the player and I started to understand the individual and the person, and I started to become a fan of LeBron James. You could be a fan of somebody and yet still be critical of them at the same time. Where in the fan rule book, if there is one, does it say that you can't? Because to these diehard LeBron fans, you're not allowed to say anything negative about LeBron James, right? Or any player for that matter. So they want to ignore that there have been a number of coaches that have been fired under LeBron James's watch. You had a really good head coach in Mike Brown. LeBron didn't want him. He was gone. He was fired. Right? Okay. Then he goes to a team. He decides to go to Miami to join Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. Now he has a head coach there. Excuse me. He has a head coach there. Nobody knew what he was going to turn out to be, but he also had Pat Riley there as a general manager. Right? Turned out that that Spoelstra, Eric Spoelstra, turned out to be a Hall of Fame head coach. Right? He decided to leave that. Why did he decide to leave Miami? Because he wasn't able to call the shots that he wanted. He wanted Spoelstra fired. Pat Riley said, I'm not firing him. That's your coach. You're going to play for him. He's not going anywhere. So what did he do? Got up, left, went back to Cleveland. What happened? Before he decides to go back to Cleveland, Cleveland hired David Blatt as their head coach. Then he decides to go to Cleveland. Not even halfway through the season, David Blatt is fired because LeBron James doesn't want him there. So who takes over? Tyronn. Then he leaves Cleveland and goes to LA. Who's the head coach there? Luke Walton. What happened? Fired. Frank Vogel comes in. He lasts 2 years, 3 years. What happened? He's fired. Darvin Ham comes in. What happens? He's fired. I bring that up to bring this part up. Only one coach got fired. Was it one coach, two coaches? I think it was two coaches. Two coaches got fired under Jordan's watch. Not because Jordan didn't want them, because they weren't winning games. Those firings had nothing to do with Jordan. That second head coach that was fired was Doug Collins. And that was one of Jordan's favorite coaches to play for. So you have Rich Paul on Rich Eisen's podcast talking about Jordan didn't have to leave Chicago. Well, LeBron didn't have to leave Cleveland. LeBron didn't have to leave Miami. Then he says Jordan had Phil Jackson. You mean Phil Jackson that was not a head coach in the NBA before? That Phil Jackson, right? An unknown is what he had, right? He had an unknown head coach in Phil Jackson. The same unknown that LeBron had in Spoelstra. Interesting. Jordan didn't leave that. LeBron chose to leave that because he wasn't getting his way, because he wasn't able to call the shots that he wanted to call. Jordan still was Chicago, never left. Even when they were losing, they didn't left. He didn't left. He didn't leave. Excuse me. And then they want to talk about Jordan's early career compared to LeBron's. LeBron had better teammates around him than Jordan did because Jordan's the second best player on those Bulls teams early in Jordan's career was Charles Oakley. Was Charles Oakley. Oh, well, he had Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen did not become Scottie Pippen until 1990. By that time, he was already 3 years in the league. Who did LeBron have? Wade, Bosh, Kevin Love, Kyrie, and then Anthony Davis. Jordan had who? Who did Jordan have? Pippen? This is the argument. This is the argument that people want to make. Jordan had Pippen. Jordan had Pippen. Jordan had Phil Jackson. Yeah, guess what? LeBron had all those guys that I mentioned, and he had Mike's. Excuse me. Then he had Eric Spoelstra, and he had Pat Riley there, and he chose to leave that because he wasn't getting his way. Again, these are facts that I'm spitting out. Nothing that I'm saying is wrong. Nothing that I'm saying is wrong. But you can't debate that. You can't. Oh, LeBron went to this many NBA finals, 8 straight NBA finals. Yeah, in a weak Eastern Conference. One year he has Boston. One year he has Orlando he's going up against. One year was Chicago when before Derrick Rose got hurt. And then one year was Detroit. It was only 1 year. That's it. 1 year after the other. The rest of that conference finished under 500. Jordan didn't have to do that. Jordan had to go through a gauntlet. Jordan had to go through the Clevelands. And Cleveland was good. Brad Daugherty, Mark Price, Ron Harper, Craig Elo. Those guys were Larry Nance. Crazy? You crazy? Those teams are that team was good. Oh, he got swept by the Boston Celtics. Yeah. His second year in the league, third year in the league, he got swept by the Boston Celtics, right? Or his first year in the league got swept by the Boston Celtics. And who did Boston have on that team? Larry Bird, Dennis Johnson, excuse me, Bill Walton coming off the bench. Casey Jones was their head coach. Kevin McHale. There's a name I'm forgetting there. He's got 4 Hall of Famers on that team in Boston. And then, yeah, he ran into Detroit. Detroit, who also created the Jordan rule, which means every time he went to the paint, every time he was going up in the air, knock him to the ground. Every time. Beat everybody up physically. And who did they have on that team? Chuck Daly as a head coach. Isaiah Thomas, Joe Dumars, Bill Laimbeer, Dennis Rodman, John Sally, Vinnie Johnson. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? These are the teams that he had to go up against. These are the teams. LeBron had to deal with that one time. One time he had to deal with that. Actually, twice. The series against the Spurs And there's another player I forgot to mention that joined LeBron in Miami, Ray Allen, another Hall of Famer. But again, he had to do those he had to go through the San Antonios and that Warriors team just once. It wasn't every year, once. Outside of Golden State, obviously, right? But you only have to see them once. You don't have to see these guys every year like that. Not like that, you don't. Their path to the playoffs, I mean, excuse me, their path to the NBA Finals was easy, easy. And again, look at the teams Jordan had to go through to win, not just as NBA Finals, but to get to the NBA Finals. Boston Celtics, like I mentioned, Detroit Pistons, like I mentioned. The Knicks weren't no slouches either. That team was coached by Pat Riley. That team wasn't no slouch. And then when Jeff Van Gundy took over, again, same thing. Then you had to go through the Pacers. Those Pacer teams were physical as hell too. LeBron has had an unbelievable career. Unbelievable. Still playing at a high level, and I still defend his game to this day, and I still defend him against other Laker fans because I am a Laker fan. I am a Bulls fan as well, but I still defend LeBron against a lot of Laker fans who don't like him. So where you see me looking like I'm throwing strays at LeBron, no, in the sideline, behind the scenes, I defend this dude. I even did, excuse me, even on my boy Loon's podcast, Feel the Breeze. Shout out to Loon and Stress. Breeze and Stress. I know him as Loon. My bad. Shout out to them both though. On their platform, I say the same thing too. I defend LeBron and his play. He can't do it all. I defend the guy, but at the same time, I know what it is. I know exactly what it is. You can't tell me otherwise. You want to talk accolades? LeBron James with 4 MVPs. Jordan's got 5. How many scoring titles does LeBron have? How many does Jordan have? 10. Okay, how many all defensive teams does LeBron have? One, two, whatever it is. Oh, but he plays all 5 positions. Where? When? Where's the all defensive teams? Because Jordan's got about what, 10, 12 of those? Mind you, Jordan is still, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Jordan is the only player to this day that has won the MVP, in NBA Finals MVP, and all defensive offense and defensive player in the same year. The only player. Let that sink in. Before Jordan retired, Jordan didn't play 20 years in the league. People forget Jordan took a year and a half off before he decided to join Chicago 17 games left in the season in 95. Jordan took a year and a half off. So we're not excluding those points, right? There was a year where Jordan broke his leg. I think his second year in the league, he broke his leg, missed an entire year. We're not, there's no points to account for that, right? Jordan retired at the end of 98, came back in what, 2000, 2001? By that time, he was already working in the front office with the Wizards. There was no conditioning there. Oh, those are excuses. You want to you want to seriously go there as an excuse because LeBron James has every year to get ready for the NBA, right? Right or wrong? He has every year to prepare himself to get ready for the league. Jordan didn't have that luxury when he came back. Both times, Jordan didn't have that luxury. He wasn't conditioned. So you can sit here and use that and say that that's an excuse. And it's not an excuse because you know if you play sports, you have to be conditioned to play. That's why Jordan, not sorry, excuse me, not Jordan. That's why LeBron spends over $1 million on his body to get it right. That's why he's able to last as long as he did. Oh, that's Jordan's fault. Still, that is the dumbest argument you can make. Well, that's Jordan's fault. People just want to ignore the facts and want to ignore the truth. And here's the other part too. The guys that actually played against them, the guys that actually played against him actually say that Jordan is the greater player. And the last I checked, the greatest players of all time don't refer to themselves as the greatest players of all time. Like I said, I'm a fan of LeBron. I am. But you can't sit here and call yourself the greatest of all time. Well, he's number one all-time scoring. How long did it take him to do that? Because Jordan, excuse me, Jordan ended up 3 years, ended up third all time after playing a total of what, 13, 14 years, maybe something like that. Third all time in 13, 14 years. Can you imagine the point total he would have had if he would have decided to play 20 years? That number would have been out of reach a long time ago. A long time ago. So people can put up the narrative they want. People can go out there, listen to the Shannon Sharps and Nick Wrights of the world. But again, those guys only bring up facts that help their arguments. They ain't bringing up the whole thing. They are not bringing. They want to mention all of Jordan's flaws, but they don't want to mention. But they don't want to mention LeBron's flaws in those arguments. They don't. And that's even not having the conversation about the killer instinct part. Because to me personally, if we're going to go that route, to me, like I said, Kobe is number two all time. We can sit here and argue that all day too. Again, I got the facts to back those up as well. They want to say that Kobe needed Shaq. Okay, again, who did LeBron have and who did LeBron need? Because Shaq has said it himself. In the fourth quarter of their games, Kobe was the go-to. Or did you forget that NBA Finals Game 4 where Shaq fouled out and Kobe led the Lakers to the win, put the Lakers on his back and carried them to the win? See, again, it's narratives, media narratives. Oh, well, Kobe only has one MVP. That's because the media didn't like Kobe. It's well documented. The media did not like Kobe, and he got screwed out of out of multiple MVPs. He got screwed out of multiple MVPs because the media did not like him. Let me give you an example. God rest his soul, Kobe Bryant. I'm on my way to work. It's a true story. On my way to work. and I'm listening to local LA radio. Okay, this is early morning, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning. So the guys that are on that on that network on that station, they're not in studio yet. But there was a couple of guys nationally that have their own show that would come on before the likes of when Keyshawn was there, Keyshawn and LZ and George Sedano. Shout out to those guys. Shout out to Mason and Ireland who are still doing it. You know what I mean? So prior to those guys coming on, you had a duo by the name of Mike Greenberg and Mike Golick. Excuse me. It's a true story. True story. I'm listening to the radio. This is the day after Kobe passes away. The day after, or maybe it's 2 days later, something like that. 2 days later. It's the first Monday after Kobe's passing. Let me rephrase that. The first Monday after Kobe's passing. And they had the audacity after this man, his daughter, and 7 others had just passed away in that plane crash. They had the audacity to bring up his rape charge, his rape charge in Colorado. Mike Greenberg is the one that brought it up. That lets you know the lack of respect that one has for another individual. That lets you know the lack of respect that Mike Greenberg had for Kobe. Because that's not a conversation we are to have when the man just lost his life. His daughter lost his life. His daughter's teammates and their parents lost their lives. And Vanessa Bryant is over there, grieving, and their daughters are grieving because she lost her husband and they lost her father and sister and daughter. It's not a that's not a topic of conversation. That's something that does not need to be brought up. And he talks about it. Very disrespectful, man. Very disrespectful. Mike Greenberg still has a job. That man still has a job. It's disgusting. It's where I say I'm built different from everybody else because if God forbid somebody loses their life, I'm not talking about them in a negative way. What I want to do is focus on the positive things that this person brought to the table and did. That was tasteless and that was classless. And that goes to show my point that the media just did not like Kobe, which is why he never won those MVPs. But let's not also ignore the fact that when LeBron played in the FIBA World Games, they lost. When when they were in the excuse me, in the '04 Olympics, they lost under LeBron. They lost. Same players, same cast, same guys, right? It's the reason why there's a redeem team, right? Kobe was on that redeem team. They won because of Kobe, the leadership. The man's a five-time NBA champion, two-time Finals MVP, and you want to talk about him and Shaq and what he did, what he had Shaq with him. Well, go back and look at how much he averaged in those NBA Finals with Shaq. Go back and look how much he averaged with Shaq and in the NBA Finals and in that playoff run. Go look. Dude wasn't averaging 15, 20 points a game. Go back and look. Kobe held his own. He's a 14, 16 time all defensive player. Never took a night off. Never took a play off. Hurt or not. So with all due respect to LeBron, and all the people that like putting these narratives out there, sorry, this is where you lose that argument. And I don't need to come up with stats to make my argument. I don't need to come up with stats because stats are only viewed in one particular way and one way only. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Do I have a point? Do I not? You agree or disagree? Nonetheless, I still appreciate you guys for taking the time. Hit that like, subscribe, and notify button. And I'll catch you guys to the next time. Joey Servín, Servant Podcast.